Hey there friends, this is Carrie with Any Day Blessings, and on this channel you can expect to find all things homeschool, flip-throughs, day in the life, do a lesson with us kind of videos, curriculum updates, planning, organizing, scheduling, all of that. And now this year, morning baskets, something new that I'm going to try. So if that interests you, I would love for you to stick around by clicking that subscribe button and go ahead and click the like button so I know that this is the content you like to see when you come to my channel. So today's video is a homeschool hits and misses video. I do these, this is the first time I've called them hits and misses, but I do like to do kind of a wrap up of the school year and let you know what worked and what didn't, because it's really helpful to see the curriculum. It's helpful to hear what we're planning to use, but it's really helpful to hear how things worked for another homeschooler. I know I personally appreciate those videos, so that's why I'm doing this series for you all. And we're going to see what was a hit and what was a miss today in math and science. I've already put up my reading hits and misses video. You can check that out on my channel. And today we're talking about science and math. We're going to talk about science first. And I'll just review real quickly if you don't know what we use. If you are new to the channel and you don't know what we did, we ended up picking for third grade Apologia's Exploring Creation Through Chemistry and Physics. And this is part of their elementary science that's geared for grades K through 6, I believe. And it might be K through 8, I don't remember. But it's got a wide range that is listed on its website for this program. And there's all sorts of different courses in this Exploring Creation series. You're probably familiar with it if you've been researching homeschool curriculum or using homeschool curriculum for any amount of time. You've heard of Apologia Elementary Science. It's kind of a standard in the homeschool world, and I see why. It's just really well done. But was it a hit or was it a miss for us? And for this, I hope this is helpful to you because I'm going to explain this, but I'm going to give it this, okay? This was not a hit for us, but it wasn't a miss either. And to kind of explain that, I'm going to go back real quick and just give you the reasons why we chose to use this in the first place and how those things kind of materialized for us. So we chose this curriculum pretty much, well, my son chose this curriculum. Oh, I'm going to sneeze, you guys. Sorry about that. So we chose this curriculum, or my son mainly did, because he loves experiments. Loves them. He wants an experiment with every science lesson. And even though that's more work on me, I'm happy to do it to foster that love of learning because this little guy just loves science so much. And so he picked this curriculum because when he picked up the textbook, he saw experiment after experiment after experiment, and he was especially excited about learning chemistry because in his mind, what he understood of chemistry going into this course was that he was going to get to do a lot of blowing stuff up and a lot of solutions that did all sorts of fun fizzing and bubbling and all of that, and that was his concept of chemistry. And so he was real excited to use it. And then when I explained what physics was to him, and we were going to learn about magnets and simple machines and electricity, this was the course for him. He was really excited about the content. The reason I chose this curriculum is because I loved the writing style of Jeannie Fulbright. She is the author of, am I saying her name right? I think Jeannie Fulbright is yes, Fulbright. She writes in such a conversational style. She really understands both the homeschool family and the world of science well. It's a beautiful molding together of those two things. Some are written really, really well and are super great at explaining science, but they're not so good at bringing that to the homeschool family and making, experiments that work in the home and things like that, and making things, work in a family setting. This is really well done for both of those things. This is really well done to be done in the home and to give a very rich and deep science education. So that was the number one reason I chose it. The second reason I chose it was because of the variety. In this notebook, there are crossword puzzles, there are copywork assignments, there are puzzles to put together. There are so many different things that you can do, little flip type books that you can make. There was just so many different things. There was actually this weather wheel that we made that talked about when we're talking about states of matter, and it was just this really cool little thing. And he wrote definitions, and it was just really cool. It wasn't your standard worksheet, fill in the blank sort of thing. And in each chapter, there were picture book read-alouds. And if you were using this with an older kid, there were some more encyclopedia or almanac style books that were listed right here for additional reading. So extra experiments, extra projects, just there was so much. You could just really pick and choose what you wanted to do. And if you really liked a certain topic, you could just stay there for a while and really dive in. I loved that about this. So that's why we chose it. Those are the things that led us to this. And of course, the biblical worldview is just throughout, and it's done seamlessly, you guys. She integrates God's hand in science, just that very conversational, that Deuteronomy 6 that I often refer to on this channel, as you rise up, as you're walking in the way. That's how she talks to kids about science and the Lord. She does it so well. Really, really happy with the content that she provides. That's what led us to this course. So now let's get to this rating. How come, if all those things are true, how come it's not a big thumbs up for us? Well, I mentioned that this is, and I wish I could find it on here. So I don't have the book anymore. I actually gave it to one of you in one of my giveaways because we're done with it. But I wish I could see. I can't remember if this is through 6th grade or through 8th grade. But I'm just going to say I feel like this book here was probably geared more towards that sixth grade, maybe even up level. And I knew, for those of you that don't know, I have a science degree. And so I felt confident that I could take what's here and bring it down to my son. And it's true, I could, and I did. But there is such a high level of detail in the content of this course. I found that daily I had to read each lesson, decide what I was going to do with my son, decide how much I was going to teach him out of it. And it became pretty teacher intensive. I couldn't just open up the book and read to him because I felt that this was actually written to a much higher age level than K to 6. I mean, I can't imagine if somebody would have tried this with a K student. I mean, I don't know how that would have looked. I'm not saying you can't do it. Maybe you have a really eager K student, but there were concepts in here that I didn't reach until my AP science years, and some concepts in here I didn't reach until I was in college. And the science level courses I took in college were what the pre-med students were taking. So I really can't believe the level. That's not a criticism. It's just it makes it so that as a parent trying to bring it down to the level of a 3rd grader, it's not just open and go. You kind of have to do a little back work, which I really wasn't planning to do. I was planning to just open this up, read, do an experiment, be done. And that isn't what we faced. So that's why I gave it here, because it was it delivered on all the things. The experiments worked every time. They were easy to do. They were easy to implement. There were pictures in the textbook of what your experiment setup should be. Everything worked that we did. That was a huge plus. The notebook my son loved. I actually, towards the end, I kind of took liberty a couple times. Let me see if I can find an example. And I would take like a marker or something, and I would fill in like energy is, work is, kinetic energy is, and like he would define things in here. I had to give him a little starting point of what to actually write in the notebooking journal, because it was just a big blank space with a space for a picture like this, and he kind of didn't know what to write. So I kind of gave him little writing prompts as we went on. I want to show you another one too. Here's one. So I would start off with, something for him to write about, and then he would just fill in and then draw one of our experiments. And sometimes I would just leave an open prompt, like, tell me about magnets and a compass, and then he would just free form write. So I felt like in order to make this work for him, and in order for him to actually enjoy the science lessons and learn and progress in his understanding of science, I had to do a lot more than I was planning to do to bring this down to his level. Now, I'm not saying dumb it down, because I gave him what was in the course. I gave it to him. I just ended up cutting out big chunks of the course. There were I think 2 entire chapters we didn't even do because I just felt like the entire chapter was beyond my goals for a 3rd grade science education. So I don't want to come across and saying like you have to bring it down. I just think that there's a ton. Like, okay, the whole section on covalent bonding didn't touch that. But I did want him to know what an electron was, and I did want him to know what it means when an electron bonds with another atom. Like, what does that mean? And so we talked about that, but we didn't get into covalent bonding. That's just an example. So I basically read maybe 2 paragraphs out of that lesson instead of 4 pages. So I did end up cutting out quite a chunk because there was just such a depth there that I was just surprised by that. It's not a criticism. It's very well done. It's a solid science course. It just didn't allow itself to be as open and go as I'd hoped. So that's what gave it the middle range. Not a hit, not a miss. We made it through. We enjoyed it. It ended up being a lot more work on Mom. That's the final word. Okay, so math. We have some clear hits and misses here in the math department. So for those of you that don't know, we moved over to Singapore last year because we were using Heart of Dakota, and we love how easy Heart of Dakota made Singapore math, and my son flourished. He absolutely just soared using Singapore math alongside Heart of Dakota. It was excellent. I can't really say how much relief I felt to see how well math went last year and how much progress my son made in math last year. So, of course, I eagerly purchased Singapore 3A and 3B for 3rd grade here. But Heart of Dakota didn't offer the same hand-holding from Mama that was available for Singapore 1A and 2A, or 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. Didn't offer that in Heart of Dakota for 3A and up. From 3A and up, it just offered an assignment. It didn't give any teaching tips. It didn't give anything. It just gave you the assignment to complete with your child. So the lessons, I was on my own for the lessons. And I really didn't have any idea until we got into the thick of it this year and we started having trouble. I didn't really understand how much I relied on Heart of Dakota to make Singapore work for us. I really had no idea how much work it would be on me as the parent and how much I would have to figure out on how to actually construct a Singapore lesson. I didn't know that until we were in the middle of it, and I didn't have that support for Heart of Dakota. I made my plan. I dove in, and I even posted it on my blog. I have since taken that down because that plan did not work for us, you guys. It did not. And I tried to make Singapore, I tried to make up the lessons as Heart of Dakota did. It just didn't work out in practice. Oh, sorry about the dog, you guys. But I really did try. I tried to make it work, and I tried to recreate what Heart of Dakota offered to us that just made it so wonderful. And it didn't work. By mid-year, we were having tears. My son was regressing in his math skills, and I was really at a loss. I didn't know what to do because I was doing the same program. I thought I was doing it as written, and it just wasn't working. And I wasn't really wanting to switch because my son loved Singapore, and he really did well in the lessons. I didn't want to lose that skill, but I was really floundering in implementing the lessons here without that extra help from Heart of Dakota. So I ended up looking around and thought, I don't want to switch. I really don't, but I need to try something to stem these tears. And so we went to Math Mammoth, and I bought online. I don't have anything to show you because I purchased the workbooks online, and then we used the online practice and the online videos that Maria Miller produced. And we made it through the first couple lessons, and I thought, this is great. You know, my son really took to it, and he liked the videos, he liked the practice, and he says, Mommy, this is making sense. I understand this math. And that was for 2 chapters. And then we got into a concept, I don't even remember what it was, but we got into a concept that he didn't really have before, and so like he had never been exposed to it. And the videos moved at such a clip. I mean, she just went so fast. Even her talking was fast. Not even like how fast she moved through concepts, but the speed at which she taught on the videos was so fast. I was even having trouble keeping up with her. And I've taken pretty advanced math courses through college even. And so I was really shocked at the speed at which she taught at the third grade level. Like, didn't let their little brains have time to process what she was saying. And there were 4 pages of problems every day to complete. And I just couldn't believe, after those first 2 chapters being so great, that now we were kind of back in a math problem. So we persevered through 2 or 3 chapters after, we started having trouble. And I just, my son just looked at me and says, can we go back to the old math, which was Singapore? And I said, sure, buddy, we'll go back to the old math. And we finished out the year there. We had 2 or 3 chapters left to do in Singapore, so we just finished those out. Because the stuff that we did in Math Mammoth, I didn't then redo when we came back to Singapore. We just, that was that. And so I ended up just having, I think, 2, maybe 3 chapters left in Singapore. We finished the year out there. They were topics that he really liked, measurement and fractions. So math ended up on a good note. And so here's what I would say. Math Mammoth was a miss for us, a major miss. We will not be going back to that. But the online practice that Math Mammoth offers was a hit. That was finally a way that we discovered that my son can practice his math facts that doesn't cause him major frustration. So the online practice, hit. The teaching instruction videos, miss. The workbooks, miss for us in Math Mammoth. As far as Singapore goes, I'm still going to say it's a hit. If I had the hand-holding and help I needed as a parent to implement this in our home, I think we would stick with Singapore out from here out, because the way it teaches the concepts to my son, when I have that extra help, it works. I mean, he has just excelled in the couple years that we've used this program. I just can't make it work for him. So I guess for me, it would be a miss on the teacher side of things. But for my son, it's a hit for him. He really likes Singapore. It's what he chooses to do. So that left me, in a quandary, because I want to choose what's helping him, right? Even if it's more work for me, I want to choose what's helping him. But what I came to find out mid-year is when I was so super frazzled, that's when he started to go down, you guys. That's when he started to regress. That's when he started to have tears with math, when I was visibly struggling. And I'm not talking like I was, a hot and hairy mess all the time, but he could see that I was having a hard time, figuring out what we're supposed to do each day in math. Not a hard time in explaining the concepts per se, but just constructing a lesson. Like, what makes up a lesson here? I don't know what makes up a lesson here. So he could see that. He could see that I was struggling, and so he was frustrated. And this is just something I come back to all the time, you guys. You don't only need to consider your child's learning style, your child's preferences, and all of that when you're picking curriculum. You need to consider who's teaching your child as well. And you need to understand as a parent that it's okay for you to say no to something, even that your kid likes, if it causes you incredible trouble and frustration. You need to understand that that will come through to your child, and even if it was something that was great for them, it will turn it sour and make it no longer a good choice for them if you are stressed out and you are not able to implement it well and you don't feel successful as a homeschool parent and teacher. So, all that said, I would say that Singapore was a hit for us, even though we're leaving it, because I think it really did help my son. He started to really like math. He started to really progress well in the time that we were using it alongside Heart of Dakota. What made it a miss for us was on my end, not on his. And so we are leaving it for next year. If you saw my curriculum videos showing you our 4th grade choices, you know that we're going to BJU Press Math. We use that for kindergarten and 1st grade. That's what we left to go to Singapore. And the reason that we left BJU Press, I'll just add this in here real quick. The reason that we left BJU Press was because we felt like, and my son was bored to tears with it. It was just so slow moving for him. And so we went to Singapore that moved it at a greater clip, and he loved it. He like I said, he just excelled. But I think we're to the point now, I've heard this from many homeschool moms and even some of the teachers that I've talked to at BJU Press. A lot of times you can have kids that seem to be really advanced or ahead of the game in things like math and phonics at the kindergarten, 1st grade level. And the temptation is to take those kids and just advance them and then go, 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 go. She said, but you got to be careful at how far you take those kids, because around the 3rd grade level, things a lot of times will start to even out. And they'll start to just kind of becoming, more average level, which is great. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But you can run into some frustration and problems if you try to keep clipping those kids along at that rapid pace, that you might want to start doing in kindergarten and 1st grade when you see them just go, go, go. And I think I've witnessed that firsthand with my son. He was, fast out of the gate in kindergarten, 1st grade, and so something that appeals to multiple learning levels like BJU Press did come across as slow. What I didn't know that I wish I would have known in kindergarten and 1st grade was that BJU Press actually has enrichment activities. I didn't know that. I would have probably got those, and then I would have never left BJU Press in the first place. But I didn't know that. If I would have known that they had those enrichment or advanced activities, I probably would have picked those up and started using those with my son, but I didn't know that. So we moved on, and now we're going back, and I think where he's going to land when he goes into BJU Press is going to be a very good spot. It has just a little bit of review at the beginning, and then the new concepts come, but I understand how to teach the BJU Press lessons, and I have the help of those distance learning videos in my back pocket if I want to get them at the Christmas break time. So that's our story for math and science this year. So it's a long one. I'm sorry this video is long, but there was a lot to say because I don't want to come across as saying don't get these, because I think they're both terrific options. I think that if I use this again, it wouldn't be until at least 6th grade, with a very sciencey kid. But I think that there are so many positives to both of these programs that I can't just say they're both thumbs down. Math Mammoth just was thumbs down for us, but I could see it being a good choice for some people, but for us it was a miss. So that's my story on math and science this year. I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine with my kids a little bit. I'll hopefully get another video up for you today. So make sure that you are subscribed and check back, because I'm going to be making videos at a fast clip here. I know many of you are shopping and researching, so I'm going to try and up my videos so I can get more information out to you guys and be a help to you. I will catch you in the comment section. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye, everyone.